All right, joining me now from No Consent, it's Tyler. Tyler, thank you for joining.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. We've been trying to schedule this. I think you reached out. Oh, I want to be conservative and say like 6 weeks ago, maybe, but it feels like it's been a minute. And I've been meaning to get the video stuff doing, and I wanted to include you and anybody else that I was kind of tentatively, kind of arranging these things with. Like, hey, I don't want to do just the audio interview, and then like a couple weeks later, if that was the case, do something else on top of that. So
Right.
thank you for being patient with me, so I can get all this set up and going.
No, I appreciate you having us on here and letting us talk about all the bull crap we're doing. So I appreciate that.
Well, one of the things I love about the punk scene is the stuff that you and so many other punk bands, there's so many intersections of what people are doing, and then so many things that's kind of their own path as well, and that's the great thing about it. Because if everybody was singing about the same, sounding the same, and doing the same, it wouldn't be that interesting. So,
Yeah.
uh, for that reason, I'm glad you guys do what you do. Uh, First, you have a new album coming out, but before we get into that, because that's obviously something that we definitely need to talk about, uh, tell us about the band. Let's kind of start at the beginning of the band. No Consent. Where did you guys start? What brought you guys together? You have another album out, which we can talk more about too. And I picked up at the
Oh,
Sham
nice.
69 show. See, I decided I'll wear my Sham 69. Oh, stupid camera follows me.
Yeah.
But I got the Sham 69 shirt there because I wasn't looking to buy their music at the time. But you guys were there last year in Salt Lake, and I got the record in, and I know I'm jumping around now, but I got to pull this out because we'll show the new record here in a minute. Quick, fucking camera, stop moving. There we go.
Yeah.
Right? It goes really well with what you guys did. It's not the same, but they definitely go really well together
Right.
on
And
the new
then there's
record.
even more we haven't even gotten to show yet. Where I like the blood splatter look, obviously. And then, but yeah, the new ones are going to be crazy. There's a half black version with the blood splatter, and then there's even one that we're calling like nuclear waste your life away, and that one's going to be yellow. It's like a butterfly almost, so it's like yellow and then black, so it's going to look like a nuclear waste kind of symbol. We couldn't make it look exactly without printing, and printing they kind of suck, but they sound good, especially through where we get our vinyls made, but it's not as good as just like pressing vinyl. It looks way better than a print and sounds way
That's
better than a
awesome.
print.
Well, that's great. Before we get too down or far down the road of the new stuff, we'll go back since I deviated here for a
Yeah.
minute.
No, yeah.
Tell us about the band. Where'd you start?
So first, it was four guys, one being me. We were on our way to, and then on our way back from a leftover crack show. We went and saw it at the Glass House in Pomona. They were playing with a bunch of other bands. There was even like a show, after party show we went to. It was super cool. Yeah, so we were doing an after party show, and we went there and went to go leave, and most of the guys were drinking, and I don't drink anymore, so uh, we were like, screw it, I'll drive home. And I'm just kind of like bullshitting with the guys and talking to them in the car. And next thing I know, one of the guys is like, yeah, I wish we could play music like that. Like, I play bass. And then another guy's like, I play guitar. Another guy's like, I play drums. And I was like, you guys know I sing and play guitar. Like, we all have the same musical taste, at least similar. Like some guys are metalheads in the band, some guy, but whatever. We all like heavy music. Like, let's do something with this. And that was like how the first iteration of No Consent um, came to be. We ended up naming the band No Consent because it was supposed to be no consent to like police search and seizure, no consent to injustice, to rape, to pedophilia, to so on and so forth, to any injustice you see in the world. Uh, we have no consent to that. I do not allow that. I don't agree with it. I don't condone it. All the injustice and fucked up stuff that happens in this world, and it shouldn't happen. It feels like people should know better, but unfortunately, they don't.
I agree. And speaking of that, I saw you guys had a social media post from not too terribly long ago, I think, but essentially saying those things like, hey, we don't stand for these things. And then I think the specifics were like no cat calling, none of these type of things at our show. If that's not how, if you can't come enjoy our music without doing that, don't come to our show.
Yeah, it should be common sense to be a decent human, and know how to approach a woman or to approach a man or to approach whoever you may be approaching, to,
Right.
show interest in them and not go, hey baby, like that's, no one appreciates that, you know what I mean? Like, uh yeah, no, no one's gonna get a good response from that. But people don't, enough people in this world don't have common sense that apparently there needs to be bands like us to say, hey, this should be common fucking sense, but apparently it's not. So here we are,
I agree. I think with life in general, I've told my wife not too long ago, I'm going to stop calling common sense because it doesn't seem common enough.
Yeah,
So I just say, instead of that person doesn't have common sense, that person doesn't have sense about them, because
yeah.
I think it's a misnomer at this point to call it common sense.
Yeah, it's moral values are, I feel like, at an all-time low. The people treat each other like shit. People look at each other like they're just usable and they can. I feel like there's not. Feels like a very hippie thing for me to say, but there's not enough love in this world. There's not enough compassion and family and friendship, and that's what makes people feel good. That's what makes life go around. It's not the hate and the pain and the suffering and the. That's what makes you be a stronger person, and that's always going to happen. But without the compassion, without that, nothing will heal, and the trauma will keep just going on.
To be, perfectly bold, that's what's wrong with the world, is all the things that people do to each other cause people to therefore act in those ways that, the saying, hurt people, and, not just because you've been hurt you will, but those that do have been. And that's, it's a circle that we as human beings continually cause, because the things people do to each other are because somebody did something to those people. And it's definitely not an excuse, because there's plenty of people that bad shit happens to that choose not to do those things. But on the other hand, it's all these people doing bad things are because bad things were done to those people.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle, and
Yeah.
it sucks. But I hope one day the world changes. Hopefully, one day someone listens to a song and decides to change their life or whatever it may be. That's our goal. Is hopefully someone can listen to one song or even a few seconds of a song and go, "Wow, maybe I can make myself a little better, or be a nicer person, open a door for an old lady." It's fucking something, a footstep, a step forward in the right direction. That's all.
Right. And there's so many ways, and we all kind of respond to things differently. It could be a movie. That movie, Pay It Forward, kind of gives that type of an example that you just talked about. If we took that and if that resonates with people, that could do it. Public speakers, if you go listen to somebody talk, somebody might say things in a way that motivates you, but not everybody responds in the same ways. And so it might take music and then a style of music, right? Not for me, but somebody might hear a message in a country song. I know that comedians talk about funny shit about country music. I don't listen to it enough to know if the topics and subjects they sing about are changed, but it doesn't seem like yeah, exactly. I don't know that they're talking about enough of those things generally, but the great thing about the music I do love, punk music and everything that falls under that umbrella, a lot of it does. And so for me, a lot of that stuff does resonate. I will say that a lot of times, topics that people, I'm an adult, but my mind's always changing. I'm never stuck on a thing. It's like, all right, I'm a very logical, what is that, left brain person, right hand, left brain, very left brained, very fact oriented, very much that, but it's also open to the sense that, what you might think is a fact or what you've been told are facts might not be the facts. I'm open to compelling arguments and such. And I like punk music for that, because there's a lot of times, you hear a message one time in whatever fashion, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they got a point. But then all of a sudden you hear another person and another band or whatever, and something starts like, maybe I should pay more attention to this thing I haven't paid that much attention to yet, and
Right.
it's in an accessible medium, right? Music, so many people love music. And so it's great that bands like yours exist, which a lot of punk bands are like yours in the sense where, it's music with a message, as opposed to, yeah, sometimes it's nice to just have the throw your arm around your buddy music and drink your beer or whatever it is.
Right.
that type of stuff too. And, sometimes you're just in the mood for something goofy. And all of those things kind of exist in punk, which is great. But generally speaking, the music with the message is what I like to gravitate towards and probably spend the majority of my time listening to. And so definitely appreciate your guys' stuff. The first album, great. So I'm really excited to hear Waste Your Life Away.
The album's turning out awesome. I can't wait for it to fully release. The main track, "Waste Your Life Away," is released right now. You can go and listen to it. It's on YouTube. Um, yeah, I'm really excited for this. The new group of guys that we have for this band now is absolutely killer. Two of them are hardcore legends from Donnybrook, Blood Stand Still, a Murder Death Kill. They're beat down hardcore legends, I would say. We got Scotty on bass, who's one of the most crazy bassists I've ever heard. Can lay down like a jazz riff and do crazy solos and go all up and down the neck. But then he can also just hold down the fort and be one of the most solid bassists you need. And then there's some goofy guy that sings on the mic, But besides that, it's a pretty good band.
Like I was just listening to the record today. I wanted to listen since we were going to be talking and listening again. And I was thinking, I don't know if I thought this as much before. But you guys, I'm thinking it's like kind of sounds thrash. And then you're like, no, that's not really a thrash band. But is it like skate punk type thrash? I mean, you guys are obviously a very street punk band. I'm talking about more, I guess, those other elements that kind of go along with it, right? And
Yeah.
it's just really cool that it's not like, on one hand, it's great because like, you can't just say it's this, and there's these other things that are kind of going along with it too.
Yeah, there's even some new songs from like the new album that are kind of like always sounding, and we kind of just took everything that we love. Some of us were metalheads, some of us like, especially the first iteration of the band, it was such like we all had similar interests in music, but it was so wide of a variety. You know what I mean? Like we all liked hardcore, we all liked, but one person really liked this, one person really liked that, and then even going forward in the new band, we just take all of our influences. Like we listened to music from anywhere from Aggression and RKL to Exploited and the Casualties to Sham 69 and fucking Agnostic Front to fucking, you know what I mean? Like we listen to a wide variety of all music. One of my favorite bands is Fear. You know what I mean? Like we don't sound anything like Fear, but I'm sure there's a song that I might do that has a Fear kind of flavor to it. Like,
Right.
we have a song right now and that's coming out in the new album, and it kind of has a fucking that like I don't know. Someone said it sounded like a Gutter Mouse song, but it reminds me kind of like that, like a surf vibe. That it sounds like it's kind of it's weird, you know what I mean? But we just anything that sounds cool, that's what we put out. It's No Consent definitely was never like we need to do this, we need to be street punk, like we're no, it's whatever. If we make a song tomorrow and it's a funny song, then cool, you know what I mean? But majority of our songs are probably going to have a purpose or a meaning or at least something. Like I think one of the songs that we've ever written that probably had like the least meaning was Sugarloaf, and that's just about my hometown that I'm sitting in right now, and just about growing up and being a piece of shit and getting drunk and doing drugs and taking pills and being a stupid kid, and then growing up and being like, wow, that was kind of stupid. But we all been there, and I wanted to write a song about my hometown specifically, but that people could also relate to. And when I think we've all been that stupid kid at a party and too drunk or doing something we probably shouldn't have been, or.
Agreed. I think the best way to learn is from other people's mistakes. But
Right.
unfortunately, most of us choose not to do that very often, and we have to learn through making our own mistakes. And
I
if you
have to
can
make
make
the same
mistakes,
mistake 10 times, and then I finally learn maybe.
hey, everybody has their own way. Some people never learn, it seems. I mean, eventually they have the opportunity to, but it's happened so many times they never do. So, depends on the thing. And, I'm sure certain things it takes one or two times. And then there's other things where, not really fond of the result, but it wasn't terrible. Maybe I'll try that again.
I feel like a lot of it is people have to learn to like you said, they have to learn to learn again instead of being like, hey, I know it all, I know everything. No, every single day you're going to learn something new, and every single day you're going to be proven wrong. And maybe not be every single day, but you're probably going to be proven wrong eventually. You know, you're not right about everything. You don't know everything. I don't know anything. You know, I know
Right.
probably less than most people.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like to I'm like I said, very fact based, but at the same time, I know that it,
Please,
it's hard to determine.
then go sit, and you gotta be quiet though. He's coming out and hanging out with us, I guess.
Special guest.
Yeah, right. Leroy, you gonna sit here?
I'll say hi.
You wanna say hi real quick?
Hi.
Hello. Be open to relearning because again, you might think you know something or whatever reason you think you know it for. If you're open, you can realize that you might not have known. And I think that's the best place to be is everybody knowing that you really don't know. Isn't I think that was that Operation Ivy? All I know is that I
Yeah.
don't know.
All I know is I don't know nothing, man. That's
Right. One
my
of the
life.
most true lyrics I can come up with is that one right there.
You just got to learn to shut up and listen sometimes, and not enough people do that. They always want to have their mouth open or speak first, or they want to be the loudest and be heard. And sometimes you just got to shut up and listen. That's all it is, you know.
Right.
Hear
You know,
people
I
out.
learned a while ago it's what is it, active listening compared to waiting to talk, right? Most people
Yep.
aren't actively listening. They're just waiting to say something, or you say something, so they're waiting to say their thing and not actively listening to what is being said. Because if we did actively listen, we might, learn a little bit more and maybe realize, hey, maybe you're right and I'm right, not just I think I'm right and I think you're wrong, or vice versa.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
And so often I think in arguments that people have, they're arguing like the same thing, like the end thing is the same, but the method or the reasoning, I guess, might be different. And so then they're arguing about something that they probably actually agree on. They just, for whatever reason, they're not really listening to each other, so they can't grasp that, hey, maybe we actually agree on more than we think we agree on.
Yeah. So I'm sure at the end of the day, we all just want world peace and to be happy and live with our family, but our methods of getting there are different. And then that's how we argue. It's like, maybe there's a different path for every fucking person. Did you think about that? You know what I mean? Maybe what's right for you isn't right for me, and what's right for him isn't right for her, and so on and so forth. There's not, I wish there was one easy, simple answer, and we could like get rid of law enforcement and stop having politicians, and everyone just lives their life and is happy. But it's a perfect world, and it'll never be a perfect world, unfortunately, because none of us are perfect. Nobody's exactly the same. We're all different. We're all built different. We're
Right.
all we all are all exactly the same, but all completely different at the same time. And that's the beautiful thing about this world. Like you said, if we were all exactly the same, man, this world would be really fucking boring. You know, if every plant looked the
Yeah.
same and every person looked the same, it'd be a pretty
Every
boring fucking
smell was the
planet.
same,
Yeah.
right? Everything tastes the same.
It'd probably all start smelling and looking like shit eventually. You know what I mean? Because you get so dull to it
Right.
that it's beautiful. The world we live in is beautiful, and I don't think enough people stop and notice that either. Is we're alive, you know, on a spinning rock. That's pretty cool.
Right.
I'll take it.
Right. I'm with you. It's a pretty impressive. It's short while you're here, so live it up and try to be the best you can be and the best you can be towards others too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys put out the first album, and how long has that been? Was that 3 years ago, 2022?
Something like that. Yeah.
When did you start? I know we talked about kind of how the band got together. How long? When did the band actually? When did they get together?
So we got together 2019. It was like early 2019, right before COVID.
Okay.
Literally, we went to that show. We started practicing. I think we got a few like small gigs, and then COVID hit. And then we were doing like randomly someone did like a show out in the middle. We got shit for it at the time, but someone did a show out in the middle of the desert. We went and played it, and people were like, "You're not looking out for people's safety." And it's like, well, if you're worried about that, then don't show up, you know. But we're all gonna go and get sick together. Then we're all gonna go and get sick together. Like I'm sick of sitting in the house. We're gonna go have a punk show in the middle of the desert. Whoever wants to show up, roll through. But yeah, we kind of had to do like obviously a little hiatus. We were just like, I remember one time we practiced, we felt really weird. We were all practicing in my garage wearing bandanas over our face. We're like, is this stupid or what? Like, it's like, dude, a few days ago, we both hit the same, weed pipe. I'm not too worried about like us breathing on each other. Like, if we die, we die, man. At least it's together. So then we started just practicing and having, starting to get our shows going once everything started rolling back together. And we kind of really hit the ground running, and luckily got in with the Cave, which is a local venue up here at the time. And we started booking there and setting up some really cool punk shows, and everything was going good until that place shut down. But it's supposed to hopefully be opening back up again, so hopefully I can book some more punk up here.
That's good news. On that note, how did you link up with Sham 69 to do that series of shows with them last year?
So it was kind of random. Our booking agent sent us like an email and was like, "Hey, Sham 69's looking for a band. I wanted to submit you guys. Would you be okay with it?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And then when it all came down to it, we started talking to them and realizing like they pretty much got told to us like, "Hey, they're gonna jump in your van. You're gonna go, throughout the whole U.S. with them for 30 days. They're gonna use your gear." And you guys are just going to go from like hotel room to venue and so on and so forth. And it was like, okay, like I know my band and we're awesome guys. I'd say, I'm sure there's people out there that are like, those guys are a piece of shit, but to each their own. And so we're kind of like, oh well, you know how we are, like we're some hard-headed guys at times and a bunch of rough punks, and it's like, how are these guys going to be? And luckily they showed up and were four of the nicest people I've ever fucking met in my life. They're still our friends. We talk all the time. Um, I absolutely love those guys. And we had 30 of like the best days probably of my life. Some 30 of the craziest days of my life too. There are some days that were terrible and there are some days that were amazing. And that's what tour is about. We had great shows. We had shows that we didn't even play and got kicked out because the venue owners or whatever were Nazis and stuff, and we could tell. So we got the fuck out, and they didn't want us to play there anyways, and it was crazy. But yeah, that tour was amazing, and just by luck, honestly, just our booking agent, I guess that's how I would say, not luck. I guess him. He's the reason we got that one and got hooked up with it, and very thankful because, like I said, those guys are going to be our friends till the day we die, or probably longer. I'll see them in the afterlife, hopefully.
Well, I'm sure that's a great experience to have, and just luck. I guess you're active at the right time, doing the right things, connected with the right people.
Yeah, I guess we were cheap enough. We were a cheap enough date for him now.
Well,
we luckily had the
when
van and some experience touring, and it like
Right.
you said, it was multiple things lining up at the right time, and luckily we got some of our closest friends now because of it.
I'm sure that's one of the great things about those experiences. Like if you go play, even just do weekenders and you go wherever, right? You can go to Northern California, you can go to somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and you'll meet whoever puts the show on, people that go to the show, some of the bands that play at the show, and build those type of relations. Maybe not quite to that extent because you didn't spend 30 days with them on tour, but just building
In a
those
van, yeah.
relationships.
Yeah, there's fans that we did like multiple weekends with just because we ended up clicking with those guys so much. And TV Tragedy, we used to do a lot of stuff with them all the time. And a band that's I think no longer around, Lost Issue, we used to do a lot of stuff with them all the time just because we got along with those dudes. And we used to do a lot of stuff with the band since we were kids, and we still do. And now two of those dudes are in my band because we got so tight. You know what I mean? Ended up losing members, and they actually ended up. The crazy thing is they went to England with us because one of our band members had diabetes and he was about to lose a toe actually. And
Wow.
yeah, so we were like, oh, the show must go on. We gotta still do this. We all have our flight, like our tickets, everything like that. We got to figure it out. Not we're losing thousands of dollars, you know what I mean? And of course, we got the okay from the drummer to like, yeah, make you guys can't not go do it, you know. And we went out there, and then during England, one of our another band member that was with us ended up quitting the band. It was that was a crazy tour too. Tours are always insane. It's either like this was amazing or oh man, there was some crazy stuff along the way, but it was still cool, you know, or they're just awful. But um yeah, that was one of the ones where it was like, oh, this is insane. And then that's when, since the guys from Since We Were Kids, like pretty much decided like we are joining this band. We're not just fill-ins anymore. Like we can see this band falling apart slowly underneath you, and we're not going to let that happen, at least on our watch. So, and now I'm stuck with them. Which is I wouldn't want to be stuck with anyone else. You know what I mean? Having those three dudes in my band is amazing.
Oh,
That's
wow.
awesome. Well, provides some good experiences, brings some new I guess not attempts, but like opportunities for collaboration, right? Like you
Oh
created
yeah,
with one group of guys, and then you're kind of bringing in new blood in the sense that it's guys that were there. You're kind of doing your thing, but then adding to it. And like you said, your new album has some other sounds to it.
yeah. Definitely gonna not change the way we sound, because that's one thing that definitely the new members were like, we don't want to change what No Consent is. If anything, we want to add to what No Consent is. You know what I mean? Don't take away from it. If anything, just keep building on what there is. And so they wanted to stay true to the sound while also evolving, and also, you know, just sounding more mature, adding just more layers. And we ended up just self-producing this one, which I think it turned out amazing for just doing it all in house. And Dan, our guitarist, is half deaf practically, but the dude can hear tones like no one else. And constantly people are like, how do you get your guitar tone so good? And it's like, I don't know, I guess you have to be half deaf, you know what I mean? That's how you get it. But that guy, it's crazy, it's like a half deaf guy, you know, produced and recorded everything, and it's turned out amazing. Like the dude's insane. So it's cool to have that guy on our team in general.
You know, having people that can do you know, whatever the variety of things that come up with the band, probably great. But maybe the half deaf, he's only deaf to the things that we really don't need anyway.
Yeah.
He's tuning out all the noise that kind of bogs down and keeps other people from maybe being able to fine tune and hear some of those things.
Yeah, I think it's his superpower, because he'll, you know, he can't hear you speak, but if you hit like I played bass for Since We Were Kids for a while, and you hit a wrong note, he'd snap his head over and be like, "What the fuck?" You know, it's like, how'd you hear? How would you hear that? You can't hear me unless you look right at me, but you can. The guy's a master. He's great at recording. He's great at playing music. He's a great singer in his own band Since We Were Kids. I'm lucky to have, like I said, I'm lucky to have those guys in my band. I always looked up to them as like, man, I want to do stuff like those guys one day, you know. And now I'm doing stuff with those guys, so it's pretty fucking cool.
That is cool. That great. I guess you never know where it's going to take you when you start something.
No, absolutely. I never thought it wouldn't be a bunch of dudes from Big Bear, but here we are. So it's crazy.
That's awesome. So let's start talking a little bit about that new album. You have one single out right now, right? Title track.
Yeah. So we released the title track, and made it like a single. It released on June 13th, Friday the 13th. We got that one out along with the album, or with the music video, which turned the music video is absolutely insane. I loved how it turned out. And then the whole album's going to release July 25th. So a week from tomorrow. And yeah, we're pretty excited about that. Well, I don't know when this will release, but from when we're shooting this, a week from tomorrow. But when I'm pretty excited about this. It has songs that are anywhere from like kind of New York hardcore style to oi to street punk to we really definitely bounce around on this album to all of our strengths and influences, and we really try to make an album that kind of tells like a story in a loose way. um Art was the one that kind of, he's really, our drummer is like, he thinks in like numbers and lines, and he's one of those kind of guys, you know what I mean? Like everything's got to
Right.
be perfect, if not like. And he's one of the most crazy dudes too. Like he used to be a singer for one of their bands back in the day, so I want footage of that because he's like one of the most like proper calm dudes, but if shit goes down, he gets crazy. So I want to see him like getting the pit going. You know what I mean? I'm sure he was pretty nuts on stage. Uh, but he helped us line up the order of the album, and I loved how it turned out. It flows very well, and it tells a story of just kind of being a better person and making yourself more aware of things around you. And yeah, it just it just kind of helps. It kind of puts that feeling of just like you could do better than you are. Even if you think you're at the best you've ever been, you could still better yourself, and never stop bettering yourself. Never stop thinking, never stop learning, never stop going. You know, if you stop moving, you become stagnant and stale, and then your thought process is stagnant and stale.
But people need to do that, especially in the age that we have moved into, where there's so many of those things that are doing for us now. And aren't people having a conversation the other day, and they were talking about the low percentage of people that can navigate without their phone doing maps for them,
Yep.
right? And they don't even try now that it's there. It's not even a, hey, can I find it? And if I can't, I could probably use the map. It's reliant on that. And then the reliance on stuff like AI and other things that do for people. So their cognitive function is going to start going down because you're really not using, you're not improving, you're not learning. You're all you're learning is how to have something else help you out and do for you.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of friends that like I know a buddy actually just posted today about he runs his business through AI and everything like that. And I like to think, you know, if anything, like I'm gonna reach out to a friend. Like if I was like, man, I can't come up with any ideas, I might shoot you a text and go, hey, got any cool ideas for anything? Or like what kind of merch do you think we need? You know, I don't know if I would ask AI. Um I think it's cool that is there for people that need it or can use it. um, I also think it's kind of fucking weird. Some people take it to the extreme. Like, I know a buddy who calls it his AI app his friend or his homie. Like, it's his assistant, and it's like that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, there's a level to where it's like, dude, it's an app at the end of the day. You're talking to your phone. You know what I mean? Like, it's a computer. It's not your friend. It doesn't care about you. It's been taught what you taught it, and that's about what it knows. And then it also learned everything else off the internet and everywhere else. But I think it's cool if it can be used to help things, or But I feel like the extent some people use it to is just like you said, it's like almost like a crutch. It's stopping
Right.
themselves from using their own brain and thinking, instead of they're just going like they start with an idea and they let everything else get figured out instead of I like trial and error, I like failing a few times, like you said. You fail a few times, then hey, don't do that again. But
Right.
that worked really well, so let's stay on that path, instead of AI. AI also works in a perfect world. It learns from what it learned from, but goes, hey, this is what I've seen work every single time. Well, what works for Walmart might not work for your business, or for your life or any, you know what I mean? Just what work.
Right.
Everyone's different. It's not a perfect world. And AI, I think, very focuses on, yes, it's a perfect world and perfect situations. This is what would work for that. So yeah, maybe for fixing a car, hey, AI, where is the, oil tank? Boom, it's probably underneath, you know what I mean? And it would lead you to the oil tank. That might be helpful, but hey, AI, should I wipe my own ass today? Like, yeah, you probably should. That's common sense.
Right. Which isn't so common.
No, which isn't, like we discussed, is not so common. Uncommon sense.
Some people might need AI to help them, and if they do, for that reason, I feel really bad for you. You need to be more self-reliant and more of a self-starter, and just get into things and learn things, because
Yeah,
that's pretty.
I feel like
Yeah,
learning
that's
hands-on is the best way to do anything. Failing
right,
and
and that's how you
succeeding,
remember things.
that's how it feels more rewarding. Lose a
Right.
few times, and then when you finally win, it's like, fuck yeah, I did it. I finally did it.
Exactly. The what do they say? Life's the journey, right? It's not the end, it's the journey along the way. So, learning by doing, you therefore you kind of it's that reward in the task that you did, and then you succeeded at what you were trying to do. It's great that you succeeded, but the learning part along the way is kind of the reward. I guess the
Yep.
end, that's probably inaccurate the way I said it, but what I really mean is that what you did to get there, that's what you're reflecting on, saying, yeah, I put in the work. I did this. I had to do these things, so that it's a reward to be able to learn that way. And yeah, AI, I don't want to waste too much time on AI, but I think it's a good thing for augmenting, right? Like
Yes.
if you have menial tasks and you have a lot to do, then I can see that it's helpful because you can be focused on maybe things that rank higher in your priority, and it
Bigger
can be
picture.
doing these other things that would drag your process down, stretch it out, those kind of things. I get that it's an augmentation in that sense, but yeah, it's not helpful if you rely on it as a crutch. We want to be able to create. Like one thing that it will never be able to do is create, because it's not creating. As you pointed out, it would be learning. It'd be learning. Yep. It would say, all right, AI, write me this cool song. Well, it's going to have to try to reference music and then throw something together based on what already was created and how it's interpreting how you're asking it. So it's not really creating a thing. It's just kind of mashing some things together, which, yes, that kind of does sound like a band. A band brings their own things in together, but they
like no
are
consent.
legitimate. They're legitimately collaborating and creating a thing, not copying a thing. And that's all AI is capable of, is copying a thing or piecing things together. So several copies to make one thing.
Yeah. It's like you said, I feel like it should definitely help maybe background stuff, things, smaller menial tasks, like you said, is perfect. The main subject, like say you were creating art. Yeah, maybe you could use it for the background or a little small detail here and there. Would I use it for the main subject of my art? No, hell no. Because first of all, that's not art. You're cheating. And second of all, it's probably gonna have weird fingers or something. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
its mouth is gonna be weird, or one of its eyes are gonna be open and closed, and yeah. So it's AI is cool, and hopefully maybe one day it'll be. I don't know. Who cares really? It's a cool
Right.
little. It's to me, it's like an app. It's just it's an app on your phone. It's like cool, yeah. It can do some cool stuff, and it can make some really weird videos of, a gorilla talking about fighting 100 men and stuff like that, and cool, yeah. Like it's. I think people make a bigger deal of it than it is. I hope AI doesn't just run the world one day and we're just forced with it, but I'm sure there'll be some variation stuck in our life soon enough.
And I'm sure it's already down the path. And just as with most things, those that control things kind of dictate whether they happen or not. Because generally speaking, people don't really band together in large groups enough to be like, nope, I don't think we're going to let that happen. So if it's already gone, on the tracks, then it's probably already going to just keep going down the tracks one way or another.
In a perfect world, AI would be great and amazing, and it would fix our lives. But once again, there's always to everything. You know what I mean? Like that's like someone saying like even fuck all cops. Or all cops are bastards. It's not every single cop's a bastard, or it's not fuck every single cop. I'm sure there's nice cops out there that actually do their job and uphold the law. That being said, there's a lot of laws that are unjust and unright and make no fucking sense. So it's, you know what I mean? They're kind of fucked from the get go, but so are all of us. You know what I mean? Like everything we do is like, there's consequences to everything you do in life. Nothing's going to be perfect always. It is how it is.
I agree. I've been trying to push the APAB, but ACAB is just too popular. So
Yeah.
Maybe they can coincide, because the APAB definitely, they go hand in hand. You can't have one of those ideas without the other one, because one of those ideas creates all the things that we were disagreeing with. It's the other hand that the more popular saying is that the execution of upholding those doesn't always go the way it should. But the ones actually creating the plans, they're the fucking assholes.
Oh yeah, the politicians are the worst. That's
yeah.
They're like the mafia to the gang. It's like the mafia is running
Right.
the state, and then the gang is just running the streets. You know what I mean? Like those are the real big bosses. You know what I mean? Those are the real pieces of shit right there.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And unfortunately, again, we don't really band together to do what we need to do. So we're just kind of stuck with what it is and hope it doesn't get worse than it is.
And the worst thing is when we band together, it's still divided. We can't band
Yep.
together as a human race. We band together as Republicans or Democrats or far right Republicans or far left. Like there's there's no. If you look at the world, there's so much division in all these like cultural groups. Is like I don't I don't give a fuck if you're white, black, Mexican. Like if you're a person, I don't care who you are. I care what you are. Like what you are as a person, the things you say, the actions you do. I don't care if you're gay, straight. None of that matters, and none of that. It doesn't matter. It's all just no one picked how they were born. Like I probably would have been 7 foot tall and played basketball or something like that and made $1 million. That's the route I would have gone. Like, what's the quickest way I could make $1 million? No, but uh, I it's crazy to me that people hate each other over their certain beliefs or over their skin color or how they live their life. As long as you aren't harming somebody else with your actions, I don't really give a fuck what you do in your own house. You know what I mean? As long as it's not you're naked on your front porch and all my kids can see you, I really don't care. Go run around naked and put stuff up your butt for all I care. You know what I mean? Like do whatever
Right.
you do what you want. It doesn't matter. As long as it's not hurting people, awesome. I hope you enjoy yourself and I hope it brings you happiness and peace.
I agree. If everybody could figure out how to be happy, but not be happy at the expense of others, we'd be great. And
Yeah.
sometimes when it's at the expense of others that causes the problems. But because we're so varied, there's some of those things that's where people take their joy is doing things that aren't necessarily great for others too. So unfortunately, I think we're kind of doomed as a species in one way. I don't mean like doomed to extinction, just doomed to continue to repeat not being good to each other because we're so different. One of those things that is probably been around forever is that tribal instinct. And I think that really goes back to what you said about the different groups, right? Some people are far right, far left, Republican, Democrat, whatever.
Peace.
And it's all goes back to that tribal thing. It's like what tribe am I in? Which one's going to accept me? I want to be in that one. Oh, we're against these guys. All right, well at least I'm in this group. So I guess if we're against these guys over here, then I'm going to be against them instead. It's that's a cycle I think that we have a hard time getting out of, and that's really what causes things because you can attach that to everything. Like I think anybody should be able to have any of the religion they want, but then you start dialing down and then certain religions band together against other ones, or I don't like you because yours is different or you aren't into mine. And it's not just religion, it's not just political beliefs. Shit,
So,
go look at a sports, sports teams. There's certain, you can go to a football game here in America, probably not as extreme, but if you go and you're cheering for the visiting team, depending on where you go, especially if it's Philadelphia, guess what? The tribe that occupies that area might not be that welcoming to you, right? And then you get
all right.
into the more extreme examples and go over to Europe, especially England, and they go check out their football teams. And then it's very different there. And that all goes back to just being tribal. So there's just, you can equate to whatever, but it's always us versus them, whatever the us is and whoever the them are, whether it's the way we look, the what we like, the where we lives, the whatevers. You know what I mean?
Well, to to agree with you 100% is like if you think about it this way, looking at yourself as like, oh, I need to join a tribe or a certain group to fit in. Yeah, that's what usually how like skinheads and Nazis are groomed as well. They're usually the
Right.
outcast kids that are bullied or picked on and not very well liked, and that's how they groom them and make them go, "Hey, fit in with us. We're a bunch of boneheads and stuff like that." And so yeah, that's how they're groomed and stuff like that. So join your Republican Party or Democratic Party and be groomed into a artificial Nazi, I guess, you know.
Right. And both
I
sides have extremes, and those extremes are bad unless you're with them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you're into whatever the extreme right or the extreme left things are, they're probably not very good. You know, I think generally speaking, most people are somewhat central, you know, a little left, a little right, a little of both, whatever. Disagreeing with some, but it just comes down to, especially the way that it's controlled in our country, which sucks, as there's never really a valid third option, even though there's, you know, a Libertarian Party and Green Party and Tea Party, and, you know, there's a handful of others out there. Those aren't real options unless you're like in maybe local levels, you know, your
right.
state school boards, or maybe not even that. I don't know, you know, something small, but like anything that's large, it's controlled into the this or that. And I think if we could start, you know, it's in all aspects too. Like I'm saying, all right, say with politicians, say we somehow create like 6, 8, 10 valid political parties. Well, realistically, a lot of those parties are going to intersect in some way, right? Like this party and this party agree on a lot, and then there's a little bit that they don't, and so forth. So that would happen, which would be good because people would probably work together more, because they would hopefully focus more on the things that they are in agreement for. But then once we solve that problem by doing that, if that were to solve, then how do we go to all the other things? You know, how do we go to every religion and say, just enjoy your religion and don't be hateful towards the others who either aren't a religion or not your religion? Or go to the football teams and the football fans and say, hey, just go to the football games and don't beat up everybody that's cheering for the team that's not your team. You know what I mean? So I don't know how you solve it, because you can address one thing at a time. But as you pointed out, it's typically, you know, there's the people at the top of whatever the group is, and then they're in control, the manipulator, the Jim Jones of the
Just like
cult. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't come up with cult, right? So like the cult leaders are typically master manipulators. They're doing a thing, convincing people of a thing, and then you have the people that, for whatever reason, things happen to them, and they are more susceptible to like, oh, you're going to accept me, good, because nobody else seems to around me. I want to be accepted. And then you start getting the brainwashing into believing, you know, nonsense like you need to hate people for whatever reason is, you know, what you pick, whatever group it is. Obviously, like you talked about with boneheads, we're going to hate people because of who they are, what color their skin is, or where they're from, something stupid like that, which makes no sense. Like, how do you hate somebody you don't even know just because of something dumb like that? Doesn't even make sense.
Absolutely. It's honestly like it's crazy to me. It's beyond comprehension of just disliking someone before they even open their mouth. You know, I think everyone in this world's my brother and sister until they prove me otherwise. You know, I usually kind of keep my distance from people now because I've been hurt by enough people and treated like shit by enough people that I've learned to not just be so open and yeah, of course I'll help you, because that's of course the worst people in the world are going to accept a handout or a friendly gesture. But
Right.
yeah, until you prove me otherwise, we're good. We're friends, you know. And what's going on, brother? You know, what's going on, sister? How are you? It's like it doesn't matter who you are. But not enough of that's in this world. It's oh, he looks like this or she looks like that, and it's judgmental before someone even acts, and that's terrible. There's too much of that.
I know. And it's a vicious cycle. Not to beat the dead horse on this, but for example, you know, we're talking about the boneheads, right? So we're talking about don't judge people, but then we see a group of people like that, like you guys were even talking about on tour, right? And people running a venue, and you're like, I don't think so. And I'm not saying you guys say you hate them or something like that, but there's some sort of a dislike already, even though we really don't know them, but we knew enough that we're like, I don't think I'm going to like you because of why, you know, you're hating whatever it is you're doing and the reason you're doing it for. I definitely don't agree. That's something I can say I don't agree with. So on the other hand, I'm kind of doing that, which just creates this vicious cycle where we're saying like, all right. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. If we had more compassion, more love, more this and that, but then I think then that requires you, me, and other people that want that to then also accept the group of boneheads, the whomever else that fits in some crazy, like pedophiles. Like I am whole, like I think that pedophiles are the worst part of our society because, as I was saying earlier, a lot of things that people do are because things happen to them. Hence them. I mean, they're the one of the largest things that are fucked up about society because they are hurting people who then go out and do all these other things because that's how it expresses right after something bad's happened. So I am a wholeheartedly like pedophiles are not punished enough. If somebody's like executing real pedophiles, that there's different varieties, and I'm not trying to justify. I'm just saying that if a 21-year-old has sex with a 17-year-old, whether they knew it or not, I'm probably not pro executing that guy as opposed to the adults doing stuff to actual children, right? That's what right. I'm referring to. There's a difference. And so, I'm pro death penalty when it comes to that. I'm like, yeah, examples need to be made. If we want to fix society, you can't be soft on people that are really the cause of a majority of the problems in society.
Absolutely.
And so I'm saying all that, but then on the other hand, I'm agreeing with you like, hey, we need to have more compassion. We need to have, be kinder to each other. We need to have more love in the world. So then I have to sit back and say, all right, can I have, how am I going to have more compassion and how am I going to have more love for somebody that does those things or has done those things, even if they're not anymore? And then any example, right? You can be some sort of religious extremist that does something bad to people. And I'm like, the reason you did that is wrong, right? Because there's really no religion that is telling people to do that. It's extremists in religion that interpret a way to do that, but no really religion's telling you to go causing harm to others, right? So that person fits in that category. And then hating people, whatever color skin you are, and you hate somebody because of a different color skin, because that can be any color, can do anything to anybody. It could be shit, men that dislike women, women that dislike men just because of those things, right? People hate, there's all those things. So then we have to say, well, I don't agree with you, right? And I can't be like, yeah, I'm cool with you having those feelings and I'm going to be around you, right? So you got to figure out, I guess, how do we make that work? How do we have all that compassion for all those people that are just doing shit that we just can't understand and are the reasons why we need to say those type of things, right? Because those are legitimately things that are causing hate, which is the antithesis of the love and the compassion. So it's the opposite end of that spectrum. And so it's hard to be like, yes, compassion for you. But then on the other hand, it's like, man, now I feel like I'm almost supporting you.
Yeah, it brings it back to if it was a perfect world, it would work fine, but it's not. And then if you and I had the answer, we'd either have a bullet in our head or we'd be millionaires and running the world, So, man, I wish I had the answers to all the world's problems, I wish I could say
right.
like I'm a guy, I don't like cops. I don't like police. I'm not a huge fan of them at all. Usually whenever I run into them and we're talking, we don't have good times, or I don't at least. And it's probably rightfully so sometimes. I might have had it coming to me back in the day, but I wish that we didn't need cops. But, I feel like, yeah, there's times during a violent attack or, someone's getting beat up or stabbed, and yeah, we could definitely use someone to, we don't have militias or people, policing the streets anymore. It's crazy, and police don't even police anymore, and it's I don't know. I could go on a whole cycle of just fuck, man. I wish I had the answers to make the world a better place to where I would love to live in, but unfortunately, this is where we live, and fortunately, it is where we live, and it's a beautiful world, and it's only as beautiful as you make it. If you look through look at the world through shit-colored glasses, yeah, everything's gonna kind of look shit-stained and ugly. But if you look at the world as it's glass half full kind of mindset, life looks pretty cool, and living another day sounds pretty awesome. And yeah, I hope to wake up another day and see your face, brother.
Right. Same. Like minds like to be around each other. I want to go see your band play. If I see your band play, I'm in an area that I feel comfortable. And not that I don't feel comfortable elsewhere, I feel comfortable doing a lot of other things too. But it's that thing, right? Like we all know, if you listen to any style of punk music, it's the overwhelming minority of the music world.
Yep.
You're anytime I'm anywhere, especially with my wife, because my wife cares very little about music in general and very little about the things that I'm doing with music, and not in a negative way. It's just not her thing. But if I'm anywhere with her, meet people from work, and they, anytime I tell people, oh, you do a punk podcast or you're into punk music. Oh, what punk bands do you listen to? And I'm always like, all right, great. And I don't want to be negative about it, but it's like, if I tell anybody about the bands that I'm listening to or the band that's on my t-shirt, more than likely, I could just be like, well, first off, the band on my t-shirt, and they would have no idea. Otherwise, they probably would have said, oh, on top of the band on your t-shirt, who else do you listen to?
Yeah, right.
And, so I just say stuff like Rancid's my answer. Like, I love Rancid, but I don't listen to Rancid that often. I did way back in the 90s. I still listen and enjoy their albums that they put out. I like it. I love the music. Anytime it comes on, I'm happy it's on. But personally picking a Rancid to go listen to, or something like that, doesn't happen very often. There's so many other things. So I've grown into an answer like that, because most people, that if they know what punk is, they'll know Rancid, right? If I name any of the other bands, like, I'm not really listening to Green Day. I haven't in like 20 something years, probably in the 90s. That was it. Blink 182, any of those bands that were popular in the 90s, because that's all that anybody seems to know what punk music is, that asks me these questions.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't even know where I was going with that, other than it's just funny that you can mix around in groups, and sometimes it's nice to go get your cup filled, because you're like, all right, these people don't give a shit about what I'm thinking about. I was watching this show the other day, which was something on Netflix. I was watching my wife, and this person is going into some spiel, some emotional thing, but I guess it was really fake, right? And this person that was listening, he's saying afterwards, how they do the commentary, is like, oh, it seems so disingenuous. I just lost interest, and I started thinking about football, and I was thinking about football the rest of the time. I don't remember what they said, and that's how I feel. Like, you get in some of these conversations sometimes, and you're just like, all right, I'm thinking about other things. These people have no idea what's going on, and that's what's going through my head. So I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. So to get those opportunities, I think that's probably what I was getting at. Get those opportunities to talk with you, to talk with people that do what you do, talk with people that enjoy punk music, whoever, go to the show. Those type of things kind of fills that cup that you don't really get when you're interacting in other places. So I appreciate you doing it.
100%. Like, I know how you feel. Like, I remember the first time we toured with MDC, I was like, oh my God, we're going on tour with MDC. And people are like, who's MDC? And I'm like, Millions of Dead Cops. And they're like, who? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, to me, that's huge. MDC's
Right.
giant. What are you talking about? Like, it was finally until like we played a show with Dead Kennedys. And that was like being able to tell people, and they're like, oh, Dead Kennedys. And it was like, yeah, that's a band you actually have heard of, huh? Like
Right.
the Tony Hawk Pro Skater band, right? Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. I guess if the band that you're talking about ended up there at some point, like Riverboat Gamblers is an example I always give. I don't remember if it was Tony Hawk, but it was one of the games. It was typically always Tony Hawk, but I think there was one other game out there back in like the early 2000s too that would put on a bunch of bands like that. And that's where I come across the band. So sometimes, back then I was able to say like, oh, I come across this band doing this. I'm like, oh, I've heard of that band. Yeah, probably because you played the video game too.
Yeah, right. Hey, but you can't hate it. Tony Hawk gave a lot of bands a chance when not a lot of people were. You know what I mean? Like I love all the songs they put on those games. They put some from the rap songs to the punk songs to the, everything on there. I feel like I love that they actually gave an opportunity to smaller artists and stuff like that on there too.
Yeah, they did. I mean, Riverboat Gamblers is a great example. They were definitely not a big band back in the early 2000s. They're brand new, but they put out cool music, or at least that one track at that time. I don't remember because I wasn't listening to them. It's been 20 years, but I appreciate that. And speaking of those bands, I tell people all the time, like, I might not listen to some of these, but I'm grateful for bands like Green Day, for Blink 182, for Uh, there's so many other ones that kind of fall in line there. They all started in, Offspring was, I guess, late 80s when they really started. But that's how I got into punk. And then you find out that punk actually existed a decade to 2 decades before any of those bands were even doing anything. So bands were inspiring them, and then all the bands that come after them. And so even though I might not listen to those, I tell people all the time, I'm grateful they exist, because anybody that gets into them or listens now is going to have an opportunity to delve into and come across the next band that's not at that level, but it's still a cool punk band. And then once you hit that band, you're going to go to the next band and to the next band. And, I'm not huge into Spotify. I only listen to Spotify when I'm going to the gym or something like that, because I don't have CDs anymore. And I was tired of putting everything on, like changing out the iPod. And I have so much music that you have to cycle back with the music. And I got tired of doing that. And so for that reason, I like Spotify, because it's essentially being able to carry the collection of music that I have already, and I can listen to it without having to bring everything with me. I can't bring the record player in the car or to the gym. So for that reason, it's great. But the good thing about it is it does do, for me personally, a pretty good job of recommending. Like, I've discovered a bunch of cool bands on there just because of the music I already listened to. And it's like, listen to these, here's some recommendations, and you're like, all right, well, let me check it out. And then after a while, when it's like, oh, some of these are actually pretty good, I'm going to keep checking these out, and you get to check them out. And so I assume by listening to some of them other bands too, it's going to lead you down those rabbit holes if you're into it. So I'm grateful that a lot of them are out there, still exist, still put out music, because it does kind of help lead people down that punk path, as opposed to some of the other genres that I'm not as into.
Right. Without them, we wouldn't have anything,
Right. And a lot of people might not think that they like, I don't listen to them. I never listen to them. Well, the bands that you might listen to that you do get inspiration from might have, when I got into Green Day, Offspring, Descendants, Bad Religion, these are the bands that were probably headlining Warped Tours back in the mid to late 90s. And so there were a lot of the bands I was seeing. Those bands listened to all these other bands that I have since gone back and checked out, right? There's a handful of bands out there that my mind is drawing a blank on, but all of those bands, because they existed, is why Green Day exists. It's why Blink-182 exists. If those bands didn't exist, what would have inspired them to do that?
Right. That's like, I'm not a huge NoFX fan, but I like some old NoFX, but without RKL, there wouldn't be NoFX, or NoFX wouldn't be what they are without RKL, and so on and so forth. Like you said, there's so many bands. Like, without bands like the Casualties, we probably wouldn't be the band we are today. Without bands like, hell, Amebix. Amebix is one of my favorite bands. I love that super nasty crust shit. But like stuff like that, that's what makes you want to write the hard songs like See You in Hell that's coming out on the new album, and Kill Them All and stuff. It makes you want to write those nasty guttural stuff. And yeah, without all the bands that came before, you wouldn't have the music that you get today. You know what I mean? And I always have said, like, listen to your favorite artist, find out what their favorite artist is, and go listen to them, and then you'll see it'll make a lot more sense. It'll go like, oh wow, or listen to their influences, and it'll make a lot of sense as like where they come from or what they do, why they do, how they do what they do, all that.
Right. That makes sense. The Leftover Crack, I was going to say, without them, maybe you wouldn't be a band either.
No, absolutely not. I still just be playing acoustic guitar or something like that. I still just be singing by myself.
And finally came to me. I know it's late, so anybody listening, I apologize, but it was Buzzcocks, right? They were like one of the first almost pop punk-ish bands that had that pop sound. And so without Buzzcocks, a lot of those bands don't follow that people are listening to today that think they listen to punk, but it's all kind of falls in that pop punk category and not all the other genres like what we were just talking about.
Right.
So with the new album, it's coming out next week. You guys have a couple shows coming up. You've been really busy with shows actually, because over on SLC Punkcast we do the Live and Wired on the SLC Punkcast YouTube channel, and I do come across and post a lot of your guys' flyers there. We just talk about shows all around, and I like the visual aspect because so much goes into the flyers, right? It's kind of a lost thing because we're not walking around town going to the record store anymore and stuff like that. The posted up on the phone pole type of thing is now it's Instagram or something like that, you know.
Right.
So to then take all those together, because, and to be fair to that, I guess you can do so much more than you probably would have done if you were hand doing all the flyers and then going and copying them and then trying to post those all around. So maybe
Right.
the flyers look even better for that reason, but we do that. And I've noticed you guys are definitely very active, including some upcoming shows. So let's talk about what you guys have coming up.
Yeah, so this was this Saturday. We're playing. It's gotten moved a few times. We're playing at God, I'm gonna forget what the park is named because it just got moved there. McKinley, it's something like that. But it's a park down in Lake Elsinore. It was supposed to be at some other venue. We were supposed to have it at the compound. It was supposed to be somewhere else, and but now we're having it at the skate park in Lake Elsinore. That's going to be awesome. Bunch of vendors calling it Lakeside Slam is the show is what the name of the show is. Playing with Doss Clown, our good friends since we were kids, VCS, One Square Mile, Rare Sense, Heroes and Fools. Probably forgetting some along the way. There's like 10 bands or 12 bands, a bunch of homies. What would Chuck do? I feel like I'm still missing another one in there. Um, but yeah, that's going to be an awesome show. I feel like, what is it? The week after that, or is it the next week? Oh, I'm terrible at this. I didn't prepare for this at all. Um,
July 25th.
July 25th. Yeah, that's going to be the next one after that, right? And
Right.
that one's going to be awesome. We have a bunch more coming up too. What else is coming up? I think we're doing a show with the Freeze. We're about to announce that soon. Which I love the Freeze. My wife's a huge Freeze fan. Our drummer Art's a huge Freeze fan, so that's awesome. I'm not sure the date on that one. I think it's going to be August something, but they're still, I think, like working a tentative date on it. So you'll see in that one soon. We'll be posting that. We're working on setting up some Big Bear shows soon. We've haven't been setting up much stuff at home, our home base, you know, and yeah, I don't know how many shows we actually have announced yet at the moment. What's
What's
the July
the
25th
distance?
one?
The Dayglow abortions.
Oh, the Dayglow abortions. I almost forgot about. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I forgot about the Dayglow abortion show. That one's going to be sick. Super stoked on that one, playing that with the brothels and stuff like that. Uh,
Right.
that's going to be an awesome show. Yeah. Fuck, I was thinking that one was next month, but I'm tripping. That one is coming up really quick. Man, this month went fast. I feel like
Right. That's
July
next
flew.
weekend, a week from Saturday.
Jesus. Yeah, July flew. Wow. Crazy. But yeah, so we got a bunch of cool shows coming up. We're working on a bunch of cool stuff. Trying to get some cool bands up to Big Bear just because I'm sick of there being nothing to do for anyone in Big Bear besides do drugs or get drunk, and that's pretty much all there is for kids in Big Bear. And that's what happened to me because there was nothing to do. And then luckily later on there was the cave and stuff to do there, and then that went away, and now it's back to there being nothing for kids to do, you know, and they wonder why kids are out in the street causing havoc.
Idle hands.
Yeah, they should be
There's a
sitting
reason why that's a saying.
Yeah, let them beat each other up at the punk show and go home and talk about it. You know what I mean? And have a good time.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's a crazy world we live in.
So
Leroy.
geographically speaking, where is so? I'm sure the one this weekend's probably sounds like that's a little bit closer. But for California, because I'm not as familiar with the California geography, how far is Big Bear from,
Yes.
we'll say, Pomona, because that's where your show is on the 25th?
So pretty much anything from Big Bear is about an hour away. Like
Okay.
we live up on the mountaintop, and you know, the closest city to us is Lucerne Valley, like a real. And that's not even a real city. So then it's like the closest city to us is like Lucerne Valley, which is just a tiny town. And then after that is like Apple Valley. The other way is Redlands, and the other way is Highland. and those are all an hour drive, you know. So Pomona is probably about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minute drive. But I always tell people like to us that's like a 45 minute drive, 30 minute drive because the hour is a given. You know, it sucks living in Big Bear. It's a blessing and a curse because it's beautiful where I live, but it's also far from everything. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I work out in LA most of the time, and that's a good 2.5 hour drive. If I'm lucky and I leave on time, I might get there in 2 hours, but usually it's 3 hour drive on my way back, you know, because it's rush hour and all that good stuff.
Wow. So that's like 5 hours of drive a day plus about an eight
Plus the
hour
work.
work day.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, those are long days.
Yeah. It's fun, but it's worth it, you know.
Well, you're where you want to be. If you didn't want to be there, you wouldn't be there, I'm sure. But oh, that's a
100%.
lot of time in the car. I guess you get a lot of time to listen to some music or listen to something.
Yeah, think, try to write,
Yeah.
all that stuff. It's a lot of time just in
You
my
do,
head thinking.
do you get a lot of ideas? You know, I hear for people it's different, right? Like some people describe it as like being a muse or like you're the conduit, like it's out there. And if you tap in correctly, then it just starts to flow. So if you kind of just say, hey, I'm going to dedicate my time to this, or sometimes it just you're inspired. How best does it work for you? You know, some people take a shower and it's terrible time, I'm sure, because you can't write, you're all wet. You can't start a voice note on your phone or something like that. So for you, is driving a good time that you come up with stuff while writing, or is it
Yeah.
other times? What?
A lot of times, either I'll have like an idea that's kind of like just festering, like just thinking about it and like, oh, I really want to write something about that. Sometimes it'll be an event, but a lot of times the songs I'll sit down and like actually focus on trying to write a song. Um, Sometimes I have like a thing on my phone, like a notepad, where it's just different random ideas or lines, you know, of like, oh, I liked that, you know, I liked how someone said that, or I liked how that sounded, you know, or that was really deep, meaningful. That would sound good in a punk song, you know, so on and so forth. And then sometimes it's just like I just wrote a song recently. It's called One Shot, and it's pretty much about like all my friends that have died and passed away too soon. And that was one that was like kind of festering for a while, and then finally it was like with the passing of my friend Tori. Once he died, it was like okay, it's been too long. So that's when I really like sat down and started writing it all out. And but most of the time it's me going and focusing on like I'm gonna write music right now. You know what I mean? And I'll write for as long as I can, and then if I start getting to a point where I'm like, I can't do this, I'll take a break and step away and come back to it. Maybe in an hour, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a week, you know, and um sometimes I'll go I'm stuck on that one and I'll start working on another one and that one starts just pumping out, you know, and some songs write themselves to where they're very easy and some songs are like fuck, I can't find the right words or I can't find how I want to convey a message. And I think it's not saying like I think it's harder for me than other people, but I think it's harder than writing the songs that are like, yeah, let's drink and party and drink and, you know, shit like that, you know, like I actually I want to convey a message. I want people to listen to a song and go, "Wow, I know what that guy was trying to say," or like even if they don't agree with it, like they knew what I was trying to tell you. And
Right.
and there was a message behind it. And I feel like a lot of the songs if you didn't understand the message or really hated the message, you're kind of weird, but I can understand people not wanting to kill all cops or kill all politicians, you know what I mean? Like that's it's a little out there even I'll admit, but um yeah, as long I kind of lost my train of thought right there, but you know, uh, yeah.
Right. You were talking about just kind of the writing process for you. And I
Oh,
guess I would follow that up with, you know, how many songs or song ideas do you have that either you had and didn't make it to waste your life away? And then I guess, you know, it's a process to write, record, do all the stuff, send out, get it put on vinyl, wait for it to come back on vinyl and those kind of things. And so obviously there's already been a window there. How much has come to you that you're, you know, pretty far along as well since that?
So we're starting to work on new songs right now for the next album. Dan actually, the last show we just played, Gutterfest, was like, "Hey, I want to start recording more singles." And okay, give me some songs, and we'll start doing it. And he wants to start recording. He's got his new studio all set up and stuff, so he's all excited about that. Um, right now, we kind of have nothing. I guess we have some songs that are like tentative and that we kind of liked and stuff, but I don't like to say anything's like certain until it is, because we worked on some where
Sure.
it was going and going and going, and it was like, you know what, I think we really hate this song. It's just not turning out where we wanted to, and you just kind of scrap it. And then with some songs where it's like,
Right.
oh, maybe we'll go back to that. And
Right.
so it's just all dependent. And I know we want to start writing a lot more singles and releasing singles to lead up to an album. This most recent album, actually, Waste Your Life Away, was almost kind of like we need to hurry up and get it out, since all the lineup changes had happened and everything. We kind of gotten stagnant because without a solid lineup, we weren't really willing to record or wanting to record with like a rotating door. I didn't want to have this song has this guitarist, that song has that guitarist, this song has this drummer and that bassist, where that drummer and this bass. I didn't want any of that. I want a solid band. I want four guys in a band that are super happy to be in the band and think of each other as family. And that's what we have now. And so now that we have that and we're actually going, there's going to be a lot more music coming out of the No Consent camp, I guess you could say. We plan on releasing a lot more music, a lot more singles, a lot more music videos, just doing a lot more stuff, being a lot more active again. Now that we have our solid lineup and dudes we live and breathe for this. If it's not, the drummer and guitarist, if they're not skateboarding, they're in the room trying to write music or produce music or figure out shows, or that's all those guys do. Is literally, if they couldn't work, if they didn't have to work ever, they wouldn't. They would just skateboard and play music all day. Like, I hope one day I can make that a dream for them. I hope we can all make that a dream for each other. But you know, who knows? We'll probably all still be working till the day we die, and that's fine with me too.
Yeah, if you can find something to do, I think that's what everybody needs too, is purpose. And purpose doesn't have to be a job, like a 9 to 5 or anything like that either. But some people are fortunate that that's what they find in their 9 to 5 is purpose. And so I guess we could all hope that we find what purpose we have and then stick with that and then enjoy all the fun stuff along with it.
Absolutely.
If you guys go tour with anybody again, I don't know if you're looking to hop in a van with another band for 30 days or something like that, but that would be another cool way to release some music. Two tracks from each band, put a split together, get the split ready to go, and then sell it while you tour around together. I mean, that would be fun, especially if you guys are just looking at singles. And sometimes it sounded like with Waste Your Life Away that everything was arranged and it kind of sounds like a cohesive story, right? I think that probably makes a really good album. And when people really enjoy an album, it's typically they just like all the songs, or they can kind of get into and feel that connection to that story that's being told. And sometimes you write stuff that don't really fit into whatever story you're trying to tell. So boom, there you go. You toss it on a split.
Right. Okay.
If you could pick any band out there, who would you do that with? Go, 2 weeks, week, whatever amount of tour, throw a split together and then go out. Who would you do?
Damn, that's tough.
There's so many options, right?
Fuck. Yeah, that's a really tough one. I'm
with you. When people ask me who's your favorite band, it's like I don't really have a favorite band. I think it's like, who am I listening to and enjoying at the moment? I
feel like I have way too many answers. There's like the logical one, the dream one, like if I could have my way, it would be like, hey, watch out, please. That's my son. So if I could have my way and like my dream, it would be man, that's even hard to say. I'd probably say, like, if I could go back in a time machine, it would be Conflict. Back when they were like in their heyday and like they were young and crazy and shit, I would take that. But like realistically, I would say like now today, if you had to put a gun to my head and say like, hey, you have to go on a tour with the band, do a split with them, and go on tour for 30 days with them, I would probably say like the Casualties. Just because I say like I feel like our music would fit in very well. It would be a really good split. And then I feel like on tour we would be a really good 1-2 punch. Um,
Right.
yeah. So I guess if I was like looking at it as like a business practice, I'd probably say I'd put us with like the Casualties or something like that. Um, yeah, if I had to have like dream, it'd be like Conflict, like back in the day, RKL back in the day. Um, yeah, there's I could go on Fear back when they were fucking crazy and ruining SNL. And there's too many. But if I had to be realistic, I'd probably say like today I would love to go on tour with the Casualties. And I think we would be a great 1-2 punch with them.
That'd be cool. I hope they tour. They've been doing some one-off shows, but I don't think they've toured too much recently. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen a lot of tours announced in the recent years. I know David, he's done a lot of stuff with Starving Wolves, put out an album, did a bunch of touring and playing shows.
And I would play with Starving Wolves too.
Good option. I saw them.
Yes.
I think it was relatively close to when I saw you guys last year. Same venue, probably within a month. It was a couple weeks or something like that, because that's when their album came out.
I think I saw one of the flyers.
Right. Yeah.
That's one of our favorite things.
That was
going
a great
to venues
show.
and looking at all the other bands that have just played there and stuff like that.
Right. And that venue you went to, Aces High, does a really good job of posting other flyers and stuff like that. It's really cool. Well, is there anything we don't know that we should know about you, about No Consent, about what the band's up to or is planning to do?
Just stay tuned for all the new music. July 25th, the new album comes out. You can go stream Waste Your Life Away, the single right now. Go watch it on YouTube. The music video is amazing. Our good friend Augustine Zapeta did it. Did an amazing job. He makes practically like a movie. It looks like a movie how good he does his filming and stuff like that. And just make sure you come check us out at a show. We'd love to see you. Hopefully we come back out to Salt Lake soon and we can come see you again. I know we had a great time at that show. It was honestly, we're always, Mormons, Utah. We never know how it's going to be. And that show was awesome. So it was great. But just make sure you check out our new album coming out soon. My son's doing crazy stuff over here.
I think he is looking for your attention.
Oh, yeah. He's like, why are you on the phone?
You said you had the couple other versions of the vinyl coming out. Where should people be on the lookout for that? Like, where can they buy it? Obviously, your social media. So, where should people follow you, check you out, look for your music?
Yeah, so our music's on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, so on and so forth. You can follow us on Instagram as No Consent. On Facebook, we're No Consent Band. We're also on TikTok as No Consent Band. Our vinyls will be, we pretty much just do everything in house by ourselves. No one has helped us like distribute or anything like that. Actually, our vinyl company that's pressing them offered to help with Europe, so that was like the first time anyone's offered help. So it was like awesome, yay! But they're willing to. So if you want to get the vinyl, you can hit us up. It'll be on No Consent Square site. It's like noconsent.square.site, I believe it is. Posted it in our recent story about the vinyl, and then it's also in our bio and stuff like that. And that's where the vinyls will be. And we're gonna have like options. There'll probably be like a UK, Europe shipping option, and then a US shipping option. And we're gonna have all three vinyls available up on there, and all three colorways are looking crazy and amazing. We wanted to make sure that these definitely looked insane and blew away, not to like compete with other punk bands, but we wanted to blow away the norm of like, oh, that's a cool splatter. It's like, no, it's a half and half splatter, different splatters. And then now that we know we can do this with this final company, the guy's a punk, and so he's just like, do whatever you want, and it's like, cool, we can just pretty much dream up what we want, and as long as he can make it happen, it'll happen. So definitely pick up one of those vinyls from our website. So
I think at this point, anybody who's still doing vinyl, such as myself, and I'm probably wrong, but I think you're a collector, right? I mean, some people do like to just listen to the music, but it's a lot less convenient in how fast paced the world is now. Again, you don't have a record player in your car. There's no portable record players. You can just let's go to the park and throw some music on like with a boombox, right? You can't do that.
Yep.
And so you're mostly listening at home. So some people, I'm sure, want to just hear the music on vinyl, but a lot of people are collecting. They can listen to the music on those streaming platforms when they're on the go, but then also have those visual arts, the stuff that you've put together for the album covers, the stuff that are on the inserts. And then when you can go that step further and create that next level of the visual art experience, and that's with the variety of the splatters and all the descriptions you're giving, that I'm really excited to check out.
Yeah, they're going to be crazy. I can't wait to see them. They're supposed to be here. They said they're going to ship Saturday, or they shipped yesterday or today, or it's something like that. But I saw the shipping thing and it says that they're showing up on July 25th. So I'm like, it's so cool. Like the album's going to be out, going to get the vinyl. I can't wait to see them. I'm a vinyl collector myself, so I'm like, oh my God. I'm already pissed off because I'm like, I'm going to steal 3 right away. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right. And that factors into your overall costs, or at least recouping your costs.
So everyone's getting charged more now because of me. No.
Oh, that's great. Well, Tyler, I really appreciate you taking all the time that you did. I can't wait to see you guys again at some point. I'm glad that you guys are as active as you are. So whether or not you come here sooner than later, hopefully I make my way to somewhere you guys are. But I'm glad that you guys are always on some cool looking flyers. Both those upcoming shows have some great flyers, and we'll have those posted up on our on the video here. I will definitely have had those displayed. So if you're watching the video, not just the audio, then you'll get to see those flyers too. They're very cool.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate all you do, and it's awesome that you help, smaller punk bands like ourselves. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I love it. And I really appreciate the conversation. I had a blast.
Good night, man. Thank you so much. You want to say bye? No, he doesn't.